Those young competitors who seem to have nothing else going on, maybe they show up like 7, it seems, days a week, maybe twice a day, and they don't have any injuries ever. It feels like they can keep going. Compared to you, maybe you might be newer to this, you're only a white belt, maybe you've never had athletic experience before, maybe you're an older individual, maybe you're someone who is on the later side of 40 and you are comparing yourself to the younger athletes who are maybe in their early 20s. How do they see you as an individual? I can't speak for other people, but from my perspective, it seems like there is a worry amongst some of these less experienced or less physically inclined or just less capable individuals that the competitors or the really athletically gifted or those who have trained really hard for a really long time, how they might view someone who may be just getting into it, someone who has less experience. And they might feel as if they're looking down upon them, as if they are comparing themselves to the person who is just getting new to the sport and judging them negatively in some way. Thinking like, oh man, you should train as much as I do. Well, I don't think that's very fair at all. And if you are a competitive grappler who has that mindset, I think that you're in the minority, and I don't think that's the healthiest thing to be thinking about. For me, when I look at people like that, I have such a tremendous amount of respect for them. Because the person who's in there 7 days a week actually has been at the point where they just started off. The common issue that happens when new people come in is they'll look at the blue belts and the purple belts and the brown belts, and they'll look at them do these crazy seeming awesome complicated moves that when you try to do them, just it doesn't work. It seems impossible. Now, of course, over time you'll learn that as you get small chunks, they just add on top of each other to make a whole game of jiu-jitsu, and it's really amazing, that process. But most people remember their first day of jiu-jitsu. Now, there are some people who started wrestling since they were 4 years old, and now they're in their older age of grappling and they're still really competitive. It's hard for them to remember what it was like on their first day because they've been doing it so long. But most people started when they were adults. Me, for example, I started when I was 17, almost 18 years old. Now I'm 22, and I have had a very awesome opportunity to focus on just almost jiu-jitsu. Now, I've gone to college, I've had other life responsibilities, and I've done other things, but I have always been able to train jiu-jitsu multiple times a week, and I'm at the point now where I'm a coach and I get paid to do it, and it's really awesome because that just means I can spend even more time training, because explaining things to other people is one of the best ways to think through your own thoughts yourself and get a better understanding on them, and this applies to almost everything, especially jiu-jitsu. But I have such a respect for the people who are getting into it, because I know how hard that journey is, because I know how long it takes before you can really start to feel fluid and comfortable in a grappling encounter. For probably most people, it's going to take a few years before you are like really, really good at jiu-jitsu, or not even really, really good, really, really comfortable in almost all positions on the floor. The fact of the matter is, most people have not, they don't have the life circumstances to train as much as competitive jiu-jitsu athletes can train. There are people like me who are able to have no family to support at the moment. A lot of people come into jiu-jitsu, they've already got a wife and children, they've got responsibility, they have to be at work at certain times. I don't really have to be at work at a certain time. I mean, I do, it's to coach class, but that's more jiu-jitsu and it's more training for me when I'm coaching. And it's a lot more flexible than a set 40-hour-a-week schedule. So it's not a better thing to do that, because when you invest so much into jiu-jitsu, you can't have the other thing right now. Like, I have a cracked windshield, and it's like $300 to fix. And as much as I would love to spend $300 to fix it, I physically couldn't come up with $300 right now, because I have to pay for gas, I have to eat, and when you're just coaching jiu-jitsu and you're trying to go to college and you're training all the time, you just don't have you can't be working a regular job, and that's a sacrifice that I am making right now. And I'm gonna be honest, sometimes it sucks, but when it comes to Friday night open mat, the results speak for themselves. It's a lot of fun to be good at jiu-jitsu, and to be honest, it isn't a character thing at all. It's mostly math. It's how many hours of mat time have you put in, and then how much knowledge and skill were you gaining during those mat hours, and then how much skill are you losing during your time off. And that's the big thing that hits people who are not competitors or not athletes, or the inconsistent people, the people who have stuff that, oh, I've got it, man, this thing came up, and then I fell out of the habit, and then it's like a couple months later, and it's like, okay, time to get back into jiu-jitsu, and you get back into jiu-jitsu, and it's really, really tough, and you feel like you don't remember anything, because the fact of the matter is, you slid back while you took time off, because you forget things, your body runs out of the muscle memory. Legitimately, I haven't really taken a break since I started jiu-jitsu. I've taken at least like 2 or 3, to the point where I've slipped a little bit in my knowledge skills application, but it wasn't for more than a couple weeks. Maybe the longest one I had, I was still a white belt, it was about 2 months, and then I've taken a few couple to 3 week long breaks here or there, and you slide back when that happens, but it's not, if you get right back on it, it compounds so much. And so if you don't have the time for that, you're just not going to be able to get as good. But that's the problem, is like, jiu-jitsu is this thing where there are so many people who are able to just hyper focus on this one activity where there's almost no profit in it whatsoever. And it's very, very difficult to do that because you have to give up a lot of other things. And you also have to really be able to take care of your body. It's not easy. If you're older, you're not going to be able to learn as much jiu-jitsu if your body's broken down compared to someone who's younger, if their body's more able to take damage, because training jiu-jitsu is a breaking down process of your body. Now, you can learn it by studying and watching instructionals, or just showing up to class and just watching, but truly drilling and putting it in your muscle memory is going to be the best thing to actually learn, and that wears your body down. And then when it comes to sparring, you're wearing your body down a lot, and so you're going to have to recover, and the person who's younger, who's less injured, is going to be able to learn more because they can just put in more quality mat time. It's one of those things that just, it is what it is, and comparing yourself to other people is not the best. I'd say it's super unhealthy. A lot of the things that people are worried about come from this comparison in the first place. It's like, well, compared to this person in my gym who's wearing a blue belt, I get my tail handed to me every single time because he's super athletic and he trains twice a day, 5 times a week, and I'm only able to train, twice a week, and sometimes I have to take a few weeks off for business trips. You're not gonna be at that same level, but that's fine. It's not like soccer where you have division 1, 2, 3, 4. We just have everybody in the same division. So if you're in comparing yourself to a division 1 athlete, and you should be playing what is it, club soccer, there's nothing wrong with club soccer. There are different levels to this, and there's only a few things in your life that you can be truly elite at. And if you pick jiu-jitsu to be truly elite at that, that's awesome, that's cool, and there are people who are willing to make those sacrifices. But if you want to be truly elite at actually having a family and having a well-rounded life, or maybe being elite at business, or maybe fucking video games, ping pong, fixing cars, anything, if you want to be really elite, it takes a lot of time and focus. And when you compare yourself to division 1 athletes who are super elite in jiu-jitsu, and you're at a different stage in life, you're going to be set up for failure. But if you can reframe it in a different way, to where they actually have a lot of respect for you because they know how hard that road is, they're grateful that you're there as a training partner to help them get better. I certainly am grateful for everybody who shows up because I know how hard it is. And if you can just be thankful that you have those people to train with, and compare yourself to who you were previously, if you are continuing to get in shape, if you're learning, if you're having fun, if you're just going out for an activity. Jiu-jitsu can just be the thing you do on Saturdays. And if the thing you do on Saturdays is go to this room and hang out, and you happen to move around a little bit, do some jiu-jitsu, that can be your thing, and that can be an amazing addition to your life. And you need to understand that when people are looking at jiu-jitsu as, I'm going to try to get as good at this thing as I possibly can to try to compete at the highest levels. You are literally in the same room as the person who should be looking at this as this is something that's going to be a awesome social outlet for me. It's going to keep me in shape. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to learn. It's going to be a long journey, and I'm not going to be amazing at this right away, but that's not what I'm looking for out of this. That's not what you should be looking for out of this. There shouldn't be comparison. So compare yourself to who you were the previous day. The competitors don't look down at you, and if they do, they're a-holes, and that's probably the wrong environment anyways. The competitors and everybody should be really thankful for the people who are willing to get out on the mats, because just showing up is an accomplishment on its own. So, hope you liked the video. Peace.
Thank you.